My husband stayed out all night and didn't come home. I need some opinions on the following. My husband went with an old friend out to a club to see a band they knew perform. The following is his version of the events. His friend drove the two of them to the club and they left his truck at his friend's house. While waiting for the bands to begin, he decided drinks at the bar were expensive and they went next door to a liquor store. He put the liquor in his water bottle. He drank a bunch and then was happy when they went back that they let him in with his water bottle. He went to the bathroom and exited the wrong door in the restroom and was somehow outside. Since when do bar restrooms have exits that will allow patrons to exit to the outside? He either couldn't get back in, don't bars stamp your hand, and he was able to get back in earlier. If the band was important enough to go out to see and his friend of 20 years was inside, wouldn't he wait in line to get back inside? Or the line was long at that point, so he just left. So she's saying he either couldn't get back in or the line was long at that point, so he just left. His phone was out of battery and dead, and he couldn't call his friend who was still inside. Instead, he walked several miles inebriated to his friend's house. There, he got in his truck and charged his phone a little bit. He then decided to sleep the night in his truck in his friend's driveway because he was drunk and didn't want a DUI. He didn't call his friend's ass to sleep inside. He didn't Uber home. He didn't call me, his wife, to pick him up or tell me what was happening. He stayed out all night while I was home worrying. He said he didn't want to call and wake me up. He came home the next morning around 9 a.m. He says his friend told him he noticed his truck in the driveway. However, I wonder why his friend wouldn't call him when he disappeared, call when he saw the truck late in the night after the club closed, or knock on the truck window when he saw him sleeping inside to ask him to come in the house since they've been friends 20 years and it was cold outside. There weren't any missed calls or voicemails from his friend. This happened months ago and I was angry but let it go. Then last night, it jumped out at me that he wasn't with his friends at all. He was having a one-night stand. I don't know what brought this night to mind. What would you think if this was your spouse? Would you believe he slept in his driveway all night? Do you think I'm overreacting? He still says he was asleep in the driveway and didn't want to bother me. I still say his phone was working and Uber was an app away. He stayed out the entire night and not even his friend knew where he was. He says he's sorry. I'm worrying, but there is nothing to worry about. What is your take? Okay, so like all of the ones I read, I think this was very interesting. Okay, so first of all, I would just like to say that men and women, we think differently. We are two completely different creatures. I know this not just from being with my husband since 2010. We've been together from 2010 till now, 2024, in one way or another, either dating or married. For a little while, we were broke up, like for 2 years, but for the most part, we were together. And not only do I know this from him, but I also know this from having 4 younger brothers. Okay, so men and women, we just think differently, and just from having female friends and just understanding the differences between men and women. So first off, she says that all of a sudden her mind ran back and she all of a sudden just thought to herself, you know what? He was having a one night stand that night. I don't believe anything he said. He was having a one night stand. And she says, she actually said, this is what she said. This happened months ago and I was angry, but let it go. Then last night it jumped out at me that he wasn't with or at his friends at all. He was having a one night stand. I don't know what brought this night to mind. I'm going to tell you what brought this night to mind, sis. Okay. What brought this night to mind is that you have always, since that day, you have not been able to put the pieces together. You're sitting there trying to figure out, well, this doesn't make sense to me. Why would he do this? I don't understand. Something doesn't add up. Ever since that night, you've been thinking that something just doesn't add up because you wouldn't do any of this. The only thing your mind can comprehend or think was the reason for him staying out was that he had a one night stand. That's the only thing that makes sense to you coming from a female brain. But let me just explain to you how men think. Now, I'm not here to say that he wasn't, he didn't have a one night stand. I'm not here to say that he's telling the truth, but I'm going to tell you logically what I think that you should do concerning the situation. So first of all, you ask the question, why didn't his friends do A, B, or C? Let me just tell you this. Men and women are very different. They are very different, even when they go out. So when women go out, what we tend to do is we hold on to each other. We make sure everybody is accounted for, not just when we first leave, but throughout the entire night. If I go to the club with a friend, I'm constantly trying to make sure that my friend is beside me. If a man tries to take her from me, I pull her away back to my side and say, no, girl, stay with me. Let's stay together. Let me make sure everything is cool, because we don't want anything to happen to each other. We keep tabs on each other. If somebody goes to the bathroom, which women don't do that usually at all by themselves, we usually go in so we can stay, safe. But if somebody does happen to go to the bathroom by themselves and we notice that they've been gone for 5 minutes, we're getting up to go to the bathroom to check on our friend. If we can't find them, oh, baby, we tracking her phone down. We trying to figure out what she at. We like, girl, you need to call us. We here. We're not leaving till you here. Like, we pull out all the stops. We're like a pack of wolves, a pack of female wolves who are going to stick together to the end. That's just how women are. So what you're doing, you're coming from a woman's point of view and saying, well, why your friend ain't trying to figure out if you good? Why your friend didn't make sure that you came? Because they're not like us. So unlike us, a man, if they're together, usually what they'll do, they not holding each other's hands like women hold each other's hands. They not really worried about each other. They thinking to themselves, oh, he gone, he a man, he can take care of himself. We ain't got, I'm sure he good. If he need me, he'll call me. I'm sure bro cool. He straight. They're not holding each other's hands the way women hold each other's hands when they go out. We might look at it and think that's weird, but that's literally how men usually are. They let each other do their own thing. They ain't trying to be all up in each other's face like that. They're not women. They're men. Okay? They're usually all alphas. And if you have a bunch of alphas together, they definitely not checking up on each other like that. They might check up each other every now and then, maybe by the end of the night, just to make sure, but even that might not happen, And so with that, if the friend did come home, maybe your husband was in the truck sleeping. And if your friend came home, either he may not have even looked in the truck and just thought to himself, well, I'm sure he's straight. Or if he did look in his truck, he probably said, oh, he cool, he's sleeping. I'm not going to bother him. I'm going to let him sleep it off. Or number 3, he could have just really knocked on the door, knocked on the window, and tried to wake bruh up, and he didn't move. And so he said, look, I'm going to leave him alone. I'm going to let him go. He cool. He straight. He good. So, I'll talk to him tomorrow whenever. You know what I'm saying? So they're very different. They're not like us. You can't look at his situation and think to yourself, why didn't he act like me, a woman? Because he's not a woman. He's a man, girl. He is a man. And some of the things that men do are just not logical to females. But when you think to yourself that men are completely different from females, then you'll start to understand that sometimes the things that don't add up is simply because we are different creatures. We are different types of human beings. They have a different type of mind. Seriously, sometimes the way my husband thinks, I'm just like, bro, what? Like, why would you think that? Why would that be your first response to things? And then you know what? When my dad comes in the picture and he hears what my husband does, he's like, oh, I would have did the same thing. While me and my mama over there like, what? Like, why would you? So my point is that men and women are just different. They think differently. I don't think you should jump to conclusions and say that your husband is cheating or had a one-night stand. If there's no other reason for you to think that, then don't go jumping to conclusions, because I can see from this page that there are a lot of people on here telling you to leave your man, baby. And a lot of these people are women, okay? Because we women think alike. And a lot of them are thinking just like you, like, yeah, why didn't he call you? Yeah, he probably is having a one-night stand. So a lot of people are saying that you should leave your man. Okay? And a lot of them are saying that you should go and check the bathrooms. You should go and check the vicinity. You should go and make sure that he's telling the truth. Let me tell you why you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that because you should trust your man. Point blank, period. Do you want your marriage to work or not? If you want your marriage to work, then say this to yourself. My husband got drunk that night. He probably doesn't remember everything that happened. No, but I'm trusting my husband that he did not sleep with another woman. I'm trusting my husband that it was just a night where he was a little bit too drunk and he went back to his truck and he slept it off like he said he did. And yes, my husband does need to get that drunk again, and maybe we need to have that conversation about you not drinking like that or not drinking at all. But I'm going to tell myself that my husband didn't sleep with another woman because I trust my husband, and we're going to go with that. And I'm not going to go behind his back and go check and make sure that everything he told me was exactly what he told me. Everything he told me was definitely true. I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to trust my man because I want my marriage to work. Now, if something like this happens again, or if this becomes a reoccurring behavior, then you might have a reason to pause and go to your husband and say, look, babe, we need to go through the details, because I don't understand how this is happening twice in a row. I don't understand how this is the third time that you stayed out all night and you haven't called me. I don't understand this. So we're going to have to go through this together. And then you can tell your man, look, you're going to have to do some proving at this point, because my mind can't comprehend why this is continuing to happen. Now, if it happens more than once or something else similar happens that makes you rethink trusting him, then definitely check up on him. Now, honestly, I don't know if I would go behind him and check on him. Nah, I go to his face and be direct and say, look, babe, let's figure some stuff out. Look, I mean, even if it's something simple as, can we talk about how much you're drinking? Because when you drink, I'm concerned. I don't know where you at. Look, anything could happen during that time. Can we just come to some kind of conclusion about how much you're drinking, if drinking is an issue? Now, if this just happened one time, I'm guessing that it's not an issue like that. But all these people telling you to basically be a private investigator and find out if he's cheating. If he didn't give you a reason to think that he's cheating other than this one time you putting it in your head that he's cheating, I'll leave it alone and trust my man. I'm just to be honest. I will leave it alone and I will trust my man that what he said he did, he really did do. Okay, girl, we are not men. Men are not women. We do not think alike. Okay? You have much more pressing issues to deal with, I'm sure, than to be thinking that your man had a one-night stand. If you don't believe that that's the type of man you marry, let it go. Now, if you have reasons to believe that he could be doing that because maybe you've dealt with this in the past, then okay, that's another issue y'all need to deal with. Y'all might need to talk about it at this point. But I would say that if you do have an issue with it, be direct with him. No reason to go behind his back. Be direct, baby. Be direct. And if you still think that he's such a good liar and he doesn't, want to come out and tell the truth, then okay. Boo, maybe hire that private investigator, just to keep yourself covered. If you can't find what you're looking for, if you still don't feel like he's telling the truth. This reminds me of that movie. What was that movie called? The movie where the husbands and wives decided to give each other like some time apart where they could basically was it so they could cheat, like one night cheating night or something like that. It was something where the group of guys got together and they were going to go out and just have a good time, and just because they wanted to like have the option to, I think, cheat, wasn't it? I can't remember. But whatever it was, they went out. The men suggested that they do that. And so they were like, we're going out. And the wives were like, we don't want to go out. We don't want to. Why would you even want to do that? But in the end, the wives decided to let it go on. And so the men went out and they did what they needed to do. And they said, okay, we're going to have the time of our lives without our wives. And then the women went together and they said, we're going to do it because the husbands want to do it. And it ended up the husbands didn't even go nowhere. Like, they were just sitting around like, oh, I have to think about that movie. I have to go and find that movie and maybe add it to this video if I can. But if not, my point is that sometimes men start off the night wanting to do something and they end up not even doing anything. Like, you think they're having like the time of their lives with all these women, and they're literally just getting drunk together and falling asleep on the couch. Like, literally. And so I would not draw this out. I would just let it go. Just let it go. It's a time of, maybe my husband don't need to drink like this anymore, because literally anything could have happened to him. Thank God he's good and thank God he's okay. But I wouldn't say he's cheating just from this one thing. Okay. So, girl, rethink it. Think twice. And talk to your man and tell him about your feelings, because holding on to this and telling strangers what's going on in your life because you think your man is cheating, it's not something I would really tell you to do, because all of these other women are just going to tell you to leave your man. And then guess what? If they see your man on the street somewhere, if they see your man in Lowe's or something, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go up to him and they're going to introduce themselves and they're going to try to take your man, okay? The man that you gave up, that they told you to give up, they're going to go and get him. So remember that, boo, okay? All right. See y'all. Peace.